One of the most effective dietary strategies that you can have is to eat as much fermented or cultured food as you reasonably can on as regular a basis as you can. Now by fermented foods I mean things like kefir, kombucha, sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, things like that. And of course you can do this, yourself at home for in most cases pennies on the dollar for very, very inexpensively for dirt cheap. You can make something that's a real superfood. People say this term superfood, it's like kind of generic and cliche and kind of played out. But a fermented food done well is really what's something that I can actually fit that definition because it has such broad spectrum and such foundational, tonifying, strengthening, nutritive properties. Because our gut, we have our gut instinct, our second brain, our abdominal brain, our gut feeling. We have all these things, right? Okay, well, what controls that? What has a major influence on the clarity of that response, our intuitive understanding and clarity of that whole sensory awareness? That would be the bacteria, because in our gut we have, some people say like 4 to 6 pounds, or we should have 4 to 6 pounds of bacteria in our gut. And our gut is kind of like one big garden, and we have to nurture our soil, we have to nurture our terrain with the right nutrients, of course, but also with the right bacteria. Because if we have, an imbalance of good and bad bacteria, we're going to be craving junk food, we're going to only have taste for junk, and when we do eat something healthy, our body's going to want to put up a resistance. And that's really kind of our nervous system being hijacked by the bacteria in our gut. So if our gut is full of, primarily good, positive probiotics, we're going to crave better foods, we're going to have better taste, we're going to have better moods, we're going to have better immune system, we're going to have better blood. This is because, for one, a lot of our serotonin, actually most of our serotonin, is formed in our gut. So if we have an imbalance there, we're going to have an imbalance up here too. Second is a lot of our immune system and a lot of our blood is actually formed and has a major influence on what's happening in our gut. So if our gut's out of whack, if we have just a huge, imbalance in our pro to, bad bacteria, then it's going to throw off the whole system, and we're going to have, mental fogginess, bad breath, bad odors, digestive disturbances, moodiness, depression, ADD. All these different things can almost be mitigated by just reculturing and shifting the balance of our internal ecosystem. Now, I'm not taking like a dogmatic stance saying that you have to only have, good bacteria in your body, because that's kind of ignorant, and we need a balance. There's always going to be, organisms that are trying to take hold in our body, that are trying to attack our body. They're trying to basically eat us just as we eat other organisms. So it's all about the balance. It's not saying that it has to be all good and no bad, because has nothing to do with reality. There's actually a Chinese saying that says pure water has no fish. Meaning if we were just at this pristine state of cleanliness and detoxification, and whatever people are trying to attain is some sort of like dietary enlightenment or something, we would basically be dead. Because if you think about that saying, pure water has no fish, and you really uncode it, you can see that life isn't necessarily about only one extreme or only the other. It's always about the balance of the two. And it's the same situation, the same scenario in our gut. We need to shift the balance from from bad to good, and we need to do that by consuming, of course, fermented foods is the easiest, cheapest, most sustainable way to do so. It's just something you can add into all your meals. You can make kombucha and kefir and yogurt and sauerkraut and kimchi at home for dirt cheap and just be truly and deeply foundationally nourishing your body on so many different levels. And I know for me, eating more and more fermented foods just took my sugar cravings just down and down and down and down and down, because if you have an imbalance in this bacteria, they just want to eat junk, they just want to eat sugar, and they have, a consciousness, they have an intention, they have a goal, and they're going to, hijack your serotonin and, hijack your abdominal brain, your gut instinct or whatever, and send messages up to your brain saying, hey, we need that Snickers bar, or hey, you had a bad day, you deserve that pizza. Hey, you had a bad day, you deserve to drink that 12-pack of beer and eat that, roast beef sandwich. You deserve that. When in reality, that's probably not the most ideal choice for your body. But because your gut is all thrown out of balance and your nervous system is hijacked, you don't know it. So, moral of the story is consume probiotics and fermented foods as much as you can, as reasonably as you can, because they're cheap. Yeah, it's such a cheap, easy way to get a massive amount of beneficial properties, of positive inertia, of good things happening in your body. Now, one last point is that if you haven't had many fermented foods, when you start consuming them, it's very likely you're going to get some gas and you're going to get some increased elimination. That's a good thing. That's the bad stuff being killed and dying out, and that's the good stuff taking over. It's like a war, when things, fight, there's going to be, there's going to be destruction, there's going to be chaos, there's going to be death, there's going to be destruction. So the good bacteria is going in, they're fighting and knocking out the old, so there's going to be some side effects. Don't worry, just, if you need to, eat a little bit less, add a little bit in, over a period of time, and allow your body to adjust. So in my opinion, fermented foods are the foundation of my diet. Hopefully they can play a more important role in yours, and I look forward to talking to you soon.